Sometimes the best fabric is right in front of you. Grab a new or gently used shower curtain and let's create home decor. For this project, buy multiple pool noodles from the dollar store. You'll need at least 8 to 10 noodles. To start, make 4 of your pool noodles longer by cutting off a small section from another pool noodle and attaching it to a long pool noodle with duct tape. I went for a measurement of 68 inches with each lengthened pool noodle. Now, take the 4 lengthened pool noodles and create a circle from each one. Next, measure the height of the 4 stacked pool noodles. Take this measurement, mine was 9 inches, and cut out pool noodle pieces to size. Take these noodle pieces and place them standing on one end inside the stacked pool noodle circles. Fill the center of the rings with the cut pool noodle pieces. Now, take some duct tape and start to cover the top and sides of the filled pool noodles. Press the tape onto the noodles as you go so the tape stays secure. Continue until the top and sides are covered with tape. Then, flip the noodles over and tape the bottom as well. Once most of the noodles are covered with tape, you can cover exposed areas with small pieces of tape. I used white duct tape from the dollar store because the background of my shower curtain that I'm going to use in a moment is white. Take your freshly washed shower curtain and place the tape-wrapped pool noodles on top. Pull one corner of the shower curtain and wrap it and secure it to the bottom of the noodles. I used a staple gun, but you can use a hand stapler or even more duct tape if you want to secure. I wasn't sure if the staples would actually hold onto the pool noodles, but they stapled and held beautifully to the duct tape covering the noodles. You can leave your ottoman as is at this point, but adding a little extra is fun. I wrapped the side of the ottoman with cotton rope and tied a simple knot to secure. Place your new poof ottoman in front of a chair and enjoy putting your feet up in style at the end of the day. I hope this inspired you to take a shower curtain and some pool noodles and create a unique and stylish poof ottoman. Thanks for watching Home Talk. I'll see you next time. Head to your local hardware store and buy a sheet of OSB. First, cut the OSB into 15-inch squares. You will need 3 of these squares. Apply wood glue to the edge of one of the squares and place it vertically on the edge of another, creating a 90-degree angle. Screw in 2-inch corner brackets to secure the L shape. Don't use the screws that come with the brackets as they will be too long. Instead, use some 1/2-inch screws. Set aside those original screws though, and you will use them later. Screw in 2 more brackets and you will now have a U shape. Place a 14-inch 2x4 between the 2 side pieces to act as a temporary brace. Cut a piece of fabric that is at least 50 by 20 inches. Remove the temporary brace and line the inside of the U shape with the fabric with about 2 inches hanging over the edges. Take a staple gun and staple the fabric onto the outside of the U-shaped wood. I used a pneumatic stapler, but you can also use a regular hand staple gun. Fold the side edges in and staple around the outside of the U-shape. Again, it is very important that you are pulling the fabric taut before each staple. Now, take that 2x4 piece and wrap it in a piece of fabric. Use your stapler to wrap and secure the fabric. It's just like wrapping a package. Press the wrapped 2x4 back into the center of the U-shape. Take some of those original screws that came with the brackets and screw the 2x4 in place from the outside of the box. Now take a large piece of fabric, find the center of one edge, and staple it wrong side up to the center of the box. Now place a pool noodle from the dollar store and center it on the box, tucking it in against the stapled fabric. Wrap the fabric over the noodle, pulling the fabric taut and securing it with the staple in the center. Continue to staple around the pool noodle, tucking it into the fabric as you go. Continue with the same process with 5 more pool noodles until the wood box is covered. This can take some time. In fact, you may feel like you are in a wrestling match with the pool noodles. Stick with it. You might occasionally need to tuck and fold some fabric before stapling in order to get a smooth finish on top of the noodles. I actually ran out of fabric and needed to piece another piece of fabric in between two pool noodles before continuing. This was pretty easy to do. Pull the loose fabric at the end of the wrapped pool noodles over the edge of the bottom wood and staple along the inside edge so you have a clean finish. Cut away any excess fabric. I hope this inspired you to take some wood, some fabric, and some pool noodles and create your own comfy and stylish ottoman.
This ottoman was headed out to the curb. I decided to rescue it and give it a little makeover. This is made of microfiber, and you can paint microfiber. I picked up some white chalk paint, and I'm mixing it with a little bit of water, so it's really thin. Now I'm just using a big paintbrush to paint the fabric. Because the paint is really watered down, it's almost dyeing the fabric and really seeping in. Now that the paint is completely dry, I can add some more color to this. I picked up two kinds of fabric. I have kind of a citrusy, colorful pattern on each one, and I'm going to cut 2-inch wide strips. To attach this fabric to the ottoman, I'm using a special Mod Podge made for fabric. To use this, I'm going to add a thin coat to the back of the strip of fabric and then press it onto the ottoman. I want to seal it really good with my fingers and make sure it has a nice tight seal around the fabric. I'm going to repeat this for each strip of fabric that I cut. And then I need to walk away for a couple hours and let that dry. Once dry, it's time to seal that fabric in. So I'm just going to use another coat of Mod Podge over the top of the fabric. This is going to seal the edges and help this hold up to a lot of wear. Now I can use this in my living room. I've covered up the stained fabric and I can use it as a footstool, an extra seat, or a decorative spot. I hope this inspired you to save a footstool or a fabric piece from your curb and dress it up with paint and Mod Podge.
And I headed to my local craft store and picked up a wooden crate. I decided to paint it a beautiful shade of white, just using my favorite Zinsser primer. So I decided to paint the whole entire crate, making sure that I got in between all the rungs on the crate. Then to give my crate a bit of antique, rustic look, I came in with this gray wax, and then using a lint-free cloth, I rubbed it on the edges and then let it sit for a bit and then rubbed it in further just to really blend it in at the edges. And then this gives it just a little bit of a worn look. I used my cutting machine to cut my own stencil and place it on the one side, and then I just used some black acrylic paint to dab on and stencil in this unique number 3 look for old world vintage crate look. Next, I took the stool that I picked up at the antique mall and I removed the bottom feet. They just screwed in, so they were easy to unscrew and take apart. And then I decided that I wanted to give this a fresh new farmhouse look. So I actually had this IKEA pillowcase that I picked up quite a while ago at IKEA, and I never used it for anything. It has these neat button closures that I opened, and I just slid the ottoman inside and rebuttoned it back up. I folded the pillowcase over the edges of the ottoman, and then I used a crown stapler to secure it in place so that it was tightly fitted around the ottoman. Then I flipped my crate over so it was right side up, screwing into each 4 of the corners to make a hole, and then I just screwed the legs that were originally on my ottoman into the top part of my crate, so that when I flip this over, this is actually going to be the bottom, and I now have some new feet, well, new to me feet on the bottom. And then I'm going to take my pillow case that has my little ottoman inside, and I'm just going to set it on top of the crate. And then here we have my finished project. This is just a neat way to repurpose an old ottoman and reuse it with a crate to give it that antique look and a nice place where you can rest your feet at the end of a long day.